It further set aside 15.4 trillion naira for recurrent expenditure and 32.2 trillion naira for capital expenditure through the Development Fund. The presidency made the disclosure in a statement signed by Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Odonuga, today. The 2026 Appropriation Act took effect on the 1st April, with the federal government commencing full implementation in line with what the presidency described as the Renewed Hope Agenda. Tinubu also assented to the Appropriation, Repeal and Enactment Amendment Bill 2026, which extends the capital component of the 2025 Appropriation Act by 3 months to 30th June. The presidency said the extension would ensure the full utilization of appropriated funds, particularly for critical infrastructure projects at advanced stages of implementation.
The federal government has warned that Nigerians falsely parading themselves as ambassadors risk prosecution, declaring that the title is not for sale and can only be conferred by the president. The warning comes as Nigeria prepares to deploy a new set of ambassadors to foreign nations following progress in diplomatic clearances from host countries. Speaking at the press briefing with journalists today in Abuja, the spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Kemebe Ebenfa, said more than 25 countries have approved Nigeria's ambassador designates. He explained that the approvals, known in diplomatic practice as agreement, are required before envoys can be posted, as host countries must first access and accept nominees. While giving the updates, the ministry raised concern over what it described as a disturbing rise in the illegal use of ambassadorial titles by individuals and groups. MPFA says some organizations are offering fake ambassadorial appointments to Nigerians in exchange for huge sums of money, with promises of diplomatic privileges as passports, special airport treatment, and immunity abroad. He stressed that only the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces has the authority to appoint and accredit ambassadors, warning that any other claim amounts to impersonation.
The Pharmacy Council of Nigeria has sealed off 598 pharmaceutical premises across Kaduna State over regulatory violations. The council also arrested 2 vendors during the 4-day enforcement exercise. The head of enforcement, Sulaiman Shiroma, disclosed this while addressing journalists at the council's zonal office in Kaduna State. He said a total of 828 premises were inspected, comprising 123 pharmacies, 631 patent medicine stores, and 74 unlicensed outlets across 10 local government areas. According to him, those sealed included 68 pharmacies, 456 patent medicine stores, and 74 unlicensed facilities. Shiroma said the violations range from illegal operations to improper handling and sale of medicines. He noted that some patent medicine vendors were found stocking and dispensing prescription-only and controlled medicines, an offense he described as a serious threat to public health. The enforcement chief, however, said the council recorded improved compliance levels, with only 9% of the premises visited operating illegally.
The Balogun of Ibadan land, Oba Tajuddin Ajibola, has urged the Olubado of Ibadan land, Oba Rashidi Adewolu Ladoja, to uphold the dignity of his office by steering clear of partisan politics. Oba Ajibola gave the advice during a press conference held at his palace in Sonyo area of Ibadan, emphasizing the need for the paramount traditional ruler to maintain his prestigious position above political interests. The monarch also expressed confidence that the ongoing political feud allegedly involving the Olubado of Ibadan land and top Ibadan politicians would be amicably resolved. Details are presented by Governor's Office correspondent Oluyole Sulaiman.
Addressing journalists during a press conference held at his palace at Sonyo, Ibadan, the Balogun of Ibadan land, Oba Tajuddin Ajibola, expressed concern over the political feud allegedly involving Olubadan of Ibadan and some top Ibadan politicians. He, however, expressed confidence that the dispute will be amicably resolved, stressing that the highly revered Olubadan stool must remain non-partisan to preserve the respect and integrity of the traditional institution.
That is why they always advise us that you, traditional rulers, you must abstain from politics, which our grandfathers told nobody of us, that is no longer a politician. He doesn't want to participate in politics. But when you start having a candidate or have somebody, whether it shouldn't be any who wants to be, but it's not silence off to hear that they want to be involved in the candidacy or that it's not, it's hard to hear. It doesn't almost work for Ibadan or your state. It affects security, it affects polity, it affects name. So I think it's we don't want it to be hard anymore. That is why I want to talk to the public.
The Balogun also cautioned the Ekanu Balogun of Ibadan land, Senator Sharafadin Ali, who represents Oyo South Senatorial District, to either concentrate on partisan politics or remain committed to his responsibilities within the Ibadan traditional hierarchy. He maintained that the Olubadan's office must not be drawn into political tussle, noting that the revered stool symbolizes unity and tradition in Ibadan land.
About Gabi, his family said no. He said we want to be in politics, forget about loyalty. Loyalty is for me. He said if I last name, you don't destroy the bed where you are going to sleep. Put water on there, say I want to sleep on it. He has to choose whether I want to be paying tomorrow. If you don't want to be paying tomorrow, then you should applicate. Or you can go on vacation, I want to go on vacation, the governor. If it's practical, he doesn't tell me. If it's not practical, he will tell me.
While commending the State Governor, Engineer Seyi Makinde, for his support for the Olubadan and other traditional councils in the state, Oba Ajibola described him as a magnanimous leader who has significantly elevated the status of traditional rulers, particularly the Olubadan Council.
The executive governor of the state, he has done very well for this state, for Ibadan, for traditional rulers. This is our governor, Governor Seyi Makinde. Since he has taken office, he has made many of us millionaires. For those who don't know, I have been on this line for about 40 years now. More. I've been climbing the job. And when I was young, as a chief, they said, "Really, I want one. We have it for us." That has been the situation in Ibadan. But since Adimami started it, Seyi Makinde gave a double it and made us millionaire. Why must it be the movement that will be the work for me? It's a big question.
The monarch further emphasized the need to safeguard the traditional institution from actions that could undermine its integrity, urging all stakeholders to uphold its long-standing values of neutrality and unity. The event was attended by the Alakinyele of Akinyele, Oba James Odediran, and several Ibadan Baales. Oluyole Sulaiman, BCS News.
The Oyo State government, in collaboration with the federal government, has reaffirmed its commitment to strengthening Nigeria's logistics and transport infrastructure. This was highlighted during a stakeholders meeting convened to review and validate the consultant's report on the proposed Monia Inland Dry Port in Oyo State. The high-level session brought together key players in the transport and maritime sectors and represents a major step forward in the development of the strategic logistics hub, which is expected to enhance cargo movement and improve trade facilitation across the country. Details are presented by the Governor's Office correspondent, Oluyole Sulaiman.
Speaking at the event, the Oyo State Governor, Engineer Seyi Makinde, represented by the Secretary to the State Government, Professor Musbau Babatunde, described the meeting as a vital step in the collective drive to modernize Nigeria's transport system. He noted that the proposed Monia Inland Dry Port is a strategic initiative aimed at reducing the burden on the nation's overstretched seaports. According to him, the facility will function as a key logistic hub, helping to decongest port operations, enhance trade efficiency, boost economic activities, and create employment opportunities.
Inland dry ports offers a lot of opportunities for Oyo State in terms of the interconnectivity that is going to bring, in terms of people being able to clear their goods as quickly as possible. It's going to be connected to the seaports in Lagos by land and also by rail. And we expect this to boost economic activities around that particular corridor in Oyo State, and not just Oyo State, even the southwestern states. We expect it to boost employment opportunities and enhance small and medium-scale clusters, and also to more or less facilitate industrial development.
In his remarks, the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adeboyega Oyetola, represented by the Director of Maritime Services, Mr. Adeola Oluyole, emphasized that the Inland Dry Port Program remains central to the federal government's border logistic reform agenda. He identified Moniya Inland Dry Port as a particular strategic location, citing its connectivity to major commercial corridors and proximity to key maritime gateways. According to him, the successful delivery of the project will enhance trade facilitation, support industrial expansion, and promote regional economic integration.
The dry port project is one of the major projects of the administration, and so apart from performing the regulatory role, we are the initiator and the implementer of that project. One good thing about a project like this is that it requires the collaboration of all stakeholders. And in this dry port, the development of the dry port project, Oyo State is a key strategic stakeholder because it's the state that hosts the project. And so the ministry is partnering effectively with the Oyo State government to ensure the successful implementation of this project.
In our opening remarks, the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy, Fatima Sugra Mahmoud, highlighted the economic potential of the Moniya Inland Dry Port, describing it as a transformative infrastructure project. Olalekan Sulaiman, This West News.
The Oyo State Police Command has recorded major breakthroughs in its fight against crime with the arrest of suspected armed robbers, kidnappers, ritualists and other criminal elements across the state. The Commissioner of Police, Abimbola Ayodeji Olugbenga, disclosed this during his maiden press briefing held at the command headquarters, Oluyole, Ibadan. Our man, Adebayo Abdurrafi, reports.
Addressing journalists, the Oyo State Commissioner of Police, Abimbola Olugbenga, said the achievements recorded since his assumption of office reflect the command's commitment to intelligence-led policing, strategic deployment of personnel, and collaboration with other security agencies and residents. He noted that recent operations by the Command Monitoring Unit and other tactical teams led to the arrest of several suspects involved in armed robbery, kidnapping, impersonation, ritual activities and vehicle theft, alongside the recovery of firearms, stolen vehicles, and other exhibits. Among the cases highlighted was the arrest of a suspected member of a vehicle theft syndicate who specialized in removing parked vehicles using master ignition keys. Further investigations led to the arrest of a receiver and the recovery of 5 stolen vehicles, including Toyota models taken from different parts of Ibadan. The command also dismantled a cross-state armed robbery syndicate operating between Oyo and neighboring states, with the arrest of its kingpin and recovery of locally made firearms. In Ogbomoso, police operatives responded swiftly to an attack on a commercial motorcyclist, arresting 2 suspects and recovering the stolen motorcycle. The suspects reportedly confessed to multiple similar operations targeting unsuspecting riders.
Meanwhile, the Lagos State Police Command says it has arrested 23 suspected cultists and recovered firearms during a series of operations across the state. The Police Public Relations Officer Abimbola Adebisi disclosed this in a statement issued today, noting that the operations were carried out in multiple locations, including Ikorodu, Lagos Island, Okoko, Ilasa, Ogba, and Iju. It added that the operations led to the arrest of 23 suspected cultists and the recovery of 5 firearms and other incriminating exhibits. Providing a breakdown of the arrest, the command said 4 suspects were apprehended in Ikorodu following credible intelligence linking them to cult-related activities, with preliminary findings indicating ties to the Buccaneer Confraternity, also known as Sea Lords. In Lagos Island, the police noted that 9 suspects were arrested during a raid on a criminal hideout, while 5 suspects were apprehended in Ilasa in an alleged connection with the cult-related killing of one Emmanuel Obioson. Items recovered during the operations include 5 locally made pistols, 1 toy pistol, 15 live cartridges, 3 expended cartridges, a police camouflage face cap, an army camouflage face cap, and a jackknife with its pouch. The Commissioner of Police, Tijani Fatai, reiterated the command's commitment to tackling cultism and other violent crimes, urging residents to remain vigilant and support the police with timely and credible information through its emergency lines.
The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAM, has announced that the results of all candidates who sat for the 2026 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination (UTMA) on Thursday, April 16, 2026, will be released today, April 17. The JAM added that an official announcement will be made and published on its platform as soon as the results are available. The 2026 UTMA commenced nationwide on Thursday, with over 2.2 million candidates expected to sit for the examination across accredited computer-based test centers from April the 16th to April the 22nd. The examination, one of the largest coordinated assessments in the country, is conducted in multiple sessions daily to ease congestion and enhance verification processes across centers nationwide. Candidates have been advised to monitor the board's official communication channels for updates on the release of their results.
This broadcast of Newscope comes to you from the Broadcasting Corporation for your state, Ibadan. A former presidential candidate, Peter Obi, has condemned the abduction of candidates sitting for the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination (UTME) in Benue State, describing the incident as a reflection of leadership failure and worsening insecurity in the country. In a statement shared today via X, Obi said the incident was not just heartbreaking, but a damning indictment of the failure of leadership and the collapse of security in our nation. He lamented that young Nigerians pursuing education are increasingly exposed to violence. The former Anambra State governor also accused authorities of prioritizing political interest over security. Obi described the incident as part of a broader pattern of insecurity across the country. He further stressed the long-term implications of insecurity on the country's future, warning that failure to protect young people could have lasting consequences.
The Nigerian Union of Journalists, NUJ, Oyo State Council, has mourned the sudden death of Mrs. Bukola Akintade, a captivating newscaster, editor, and producer with the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, BCOS. The union described her passing as shocking and heartbreaking, noting that the news of her demise came as a rude shock to the entire media community in the state. In a statement jointly signed by the chairman, Mr. Akim Abbas, and the secretary, Comrade Simida Yadu, the council expressed deep sorrow over the loss of a seasoned professional whose contributions to journalism will not be forgotten. In the same vein, the leadership and members of the Radio Television Theatre and Arts Workers Union of Nigeria, Ratawu Oyo State Council, have expressed their condolences to the staff of the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, BCOS, and the Nigeria Union of Journalists, NUJ, Oyo State Council, over the passing of one of their staff and members, Mrs. Adebukola Akintade. In a statement jointly signed by the state chairman, Comrade Kehinde Olayade, and the state secretary, Comrade Femi Olubode, and made available through the BCOS Ratawu chairman, Comrade Adini Faliti. The union described her death as a rude shock and a significant loss to the media community in Oyo State. The statement noted that Mrs. Akintade was a seasoned and dedicated newscaster who contributed immensely to the profession during her lifetime.
In the world of sports, Frenchman Hervé Renard today told newsmen that he has been relieved of his duties as Saudi Arabia's coach less than 2 months before the start of the 2026 World Cup. Renard, 57, returned for his having led them at the last World Cup in Qatar, including to a famous win over eventual champions Argentina in the group stage. Renard, a 2-time Africa Cup of Nations winner with Zambia and Ivory Coast, led Saudi Arabia from 2019 to 2023 before being replaced by Roberto Mancini. He served as coach of the French women's team and reached the quarterfinals of both the 2023 Women's World Cup and 2024 Olympics. Renard was later brought back by Saudi Arabia to succeed Mancini as the Italian left his role after an underwhelming 14-month stint. Former Greece international Georgios Donis is reportedly being lined up as the man to take over from Renard. Saudi Arabia will face Spain, Uruguay, and Cape Verde in Group H at this year's World Cup.
On the foreign scene, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said today that the strategic Strait of Hormuz, vital for the global oil trade, will remain completely open as long as a ceasefire in the Middle East lasts. It was not clear whether he was speaking of the 10-day truce agreed by Lebanon and Israel that went into effect at midnight, or an earlier 2-week truce between Iran and the United States that began on April 8. U.S. President Donald Trump welcomed Iran's announcement that the crucial Strait of Hormuz will be open to shipping for the duration of a ceasefire. Tehran effectively closed the crucial waterway through which a large portion of the world's energy deliveries pass on February the 28th after the United States and Israel launched their war with Iran. Iran agreed to open the Strait of Hormuz as part of a 2-week ceasefire with Washington that began on April the 8th, but disputes remained over whether the truce included Lebanon.
To end this edition of Newscope, here again are the main points. President Bola Tinubu has signed the 2026 appropriation bill into law, authorizing an aggregate expenditure of 68.32 trillion naira for the current fiscal year.
The federal government has warned that Nigerians falsely parading themselves as ambassadors risk prosecution, declaring that the title is not for sale and can only be conferred by the president.
The Balogun of Ibadan, Oba Tajuddin Ajibola, has urged the Olubadan of Ibadan, Oba Rashidi Adewolu Ladoja, to uphold the dignity of his office by steering clear of partisan politics.
On the foreign scene, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said today that the strategic Strait of Hormuz, vital for the global oil trade, will remain completely open as long as a ceasefire in the Middle East lasts.
And that's all from Newscope Desk for now. It was packaged by Bode Akinjola and delivered by
Josephine Oluwabumi. Good evening.
And Jamila Ilegbede. Thank you for listening. And do not forget to tune in for the Yoruba version